everybody. We are live and just got a little doggy barking in the background there. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anita, and I've been on this journey for well over 10 years. I got to figure out the exact amount one night because I always say that, but and then I go, well, how long exactly? Definitely well over 10 years. And I started off with low carb, then went keto, then carnivore. Lost almost 150 pounds. There you go. Just really happy that you are joining me on this journey. And it's going to be kind of just a general Q&A tonight. We're at the end of the month. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing in November. And certainly am interested in hearing what you guys are doing in November to move yourselves along this path to optimal health. And I have a few ideas, but I will get into that in a bit. Just a bit of housekeeping we've got in the chat. And hopefully we all keep power tonight because it's, two of us are in the Pacific Northwest and one of us is here from Alaska tonight. Melissa, who's in there as Copper's Kitchen. She's from Alaska. And Bonnie, who is normally from Ohio, is in the Pacific Northwest visiting family. And I'm in the Pacific Northwest on the Canadian side. And it's been stormy. We've had winds and rains and power outages, things like that. So we're going to try and be ready for anything. But you just never know when somebody disappears off the live here. But they are in the live chat, helping out with links and information and that kind of thing. So welcome to them. Say hi to them. I always appreciate their help. We do have a giveaway tonight as well. We are giving away to, and I think that, yeah, that is set up, or hopefully. So we do have that giveaway, and it is going to be one of these books. You get to choose, and it is either the Sardine Challenge Handbook or the Keto Egg Fast. The secret word is Handbook, HANDBOOK. And all you have to do is put that in the chat, and that will collect your name for the draw. You only have to put it in there once. And, not twice. And it doesn't matter if it's capital letters, small letters, whatever it is, it will work and it will collect your name. And so you get to choose. If you're the winner, you get to choose which one you like. So that's the giveaway. I have a couple of shout outs to do I'll be at Meatstock in 2026. That's in May. I do have a $50 coupon code if you are interested in going. There are still some tickets left for the weekend convention part. I will be there for the week or the few days leading up to it, and I can't even remember the exact days. How many? It might be 5 or 6 days. Use my code Ketogenic Woman at checkout. You'll save $50 on the tickets. It is such a great way to connect and be with community and eat. A few days of having someone else make the meat for you, all that. I just love it. I've been there the last 2 years and absolutely love going. So the Carnivore Bar apple pie is here. Finally, it came across the border and into my house. So I was able to, I made cake pops the other day. I don't know if you saw that video. 2 ingredients, including this and some cream cheese. Plus, I made some Lion Diet friendly cake pops as well, using tallow and dehydrated ground beef. So that's in that same video. And there are videos coming up to show you how to do the dehydrated ground beef and all that. So hope you enjoy that. I actually really liked the plain salted pop with the ground beef. It turned out better than I thought it would. as well. So let me see if I got all the announcements. I do have an important announcement for Canadian members of my YouTube channel. I put an important announcement in the members area. Please, if you have not read it yet, go take a look, because it might be something you get excited about. So go have a look, and just let me know what your answer is. That's all I need to know. So that's if you go to my channel, go to the members area, you'll see that announcement. Okay, so I think I've done all of the housekeeping things. If you have any questions, you want to discuss anything, please go ahead and put Q in front of the question or question marks. Going to talk a little bit just about, life, I guess. I usually I have a topic, and so we've had some good topics lately. Tonight's just more a bit of a free for all, and I'll probably be going over to the chat to see how you guys are see what you guys are chatting about, and we'll kind of take it from there. But I know a lot of you know that it's been a difficult couple of months for me, and I've been having trouble with my ketones and things like that, and so I did a sardine challenge. Was it last week we did that? A bunch of us in the group did that, and the results were really good. I finally got my ketones back. Really, really happy about that. It just takes 3 days of eating. If you want ketones, a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did a whole show just on hacks to get your ketones up, or to get ketones. For those that have trouble getting ketones, I check mine every single morning, check my glucose every single morning, and I was not having any. And so one of the best hacks that I've learned from Dr. Boz is 3 days of sardines. 3 days of sardines will get ketones for me. And, they don't have to be glorious. They don't have to be 4 and 5 and 6. Not at all. Dr. Boz says everything over 0.5 is you're making enough ketones to be in nutritional ketosis. You want to also have your blood glucose to be not a 3-digit, but 2 digits. So that would be 99 or less. And if you are Canadian, that would be, quick calculation, that would be 5.5 or less is where you want your blood glucose to be. First thing in the morning, when you get up, is the best time to test, because that's a good measure of your metabolic health. If you're testing later in the day, I make ketones during the day. There's no question about that. If I test later in the day, I've got great ketones. But in the morning, when I have no ketones, I don't like that, because the morning test, first thing, as soon as you wake up, that is the test that you've been sleeping. You haven't been doing any exercise. You haven't been doing any eating. You haven't been doing anything that will affect your numbers other than sleeping. So that 12, 13, 14 hours, however long you've been since your last meal, and then getting up in the morning, whatever length of time that is, there's been, no big changes in your metabolism, that, you presumably don't have stress while you're sleeping. Those are your true numbers first thing in the morning. And so for me, not to make ketones first thing in the morning is irritating. But 3 days of sardines changes everything. And so that's why I'm very, very particular to make sure that I test first thing in the morning. So all this last week, even 3 days after the sardines, I was still, my ketones were still good. I had Dr. Boz ratio less than 100, and even around that 50, less than 80. And right up until yesterday morning, I had still 1.4 my ketones, still had a double digit blood glucose. And then yesterday everything I just had a day where I had just too many things, too many people. I make trays of food. My grandsons are here. I was just kind of picking at. I wasn't eating anything bad. I was eating cheese. I was just eating too much bacon. And then I went out for a late dinner with some friends. It was a great time, fabulous. Ate some veggies, had a couple of bites of so I'm not going to even mention what it was, but definitely not a binge. Not a binge, just some transgressions. I knew I was going to do it. I knew I was going out, and it was super late this morning. Ketones, big fat zero, big fat zero. It doesn't take much. So, and you know what? But I have no regrets. I have no regrets for the evening. I had a really good time, and it was worth it. It's been so long since I've had, been able to go out and do anything like that. And it was good to see, some of my old friends, and um, no regrets at all. And just, I will do a sardine challenge though this week. It's coming up for me. Like, I'll start Monday is Omega Monday. I always have, some kind of seafood anyways on Mondays. And so my sardine challenge will start. And I'll get those ketones back, it's a simple matter to fix now that I know what to do. And if you are wondering about other, you just can't do the sardines, you're like screaming in agony and wanting to run away. Watch the live stream that we did 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was called How to Get into Ketosis Fast or something like that. If you go to my channel and you click on the live tab and you look about 4 weeks down, you will see that live stream. We talked about all the other ways to get into, to get your ketones going quickly. And they all work. They all work. I just like the sardine one because it's so reliable. It gets me every time back on track. And so I enjoy it. That's why, I'm excited to give away this book. One of you will get, or you might prefer the eggs. This is another good way to get your ketones. 3 or 4 days. You should have ketones if you follow this one. 3 days for this one. So either one of those books will help you get into ketosis and get yourself back on track. So I'm excited about both those books. So Handbook, just for those of you that are just tuning in now, put Handbook in the comments, and you can then choose which one of those books that you like. Okay, so I'm going to go over and see if there's any questions. We can get the discussion started. So, I should just maybe talk about kind of what I'm thinking about for November. I sort of was going through my freezer, my freezer. Early September, I did do a bit of a freezer inventory, and so I kind of knew what I had. But now, 2 months later, it's just gone to whatever. I have no idea. So I started poking through it today just to see what there is. I do have a lot of lamb. I've got a lot of beef. I think I'm going to stick pretty close to lion diet other than my sardine challenge. Because I will do those, but on most of the other days, I'm going to stick to lion. It is very easy for me to do. It's the food that I like to eat. It's good. I've had good results with it before. So I'm done with trying to do anything other than really. I really want to do basic carnivore, but strict. So basic carnivore, but strict for me means lion diet. So that's fatty meats, and lamb is my favorite. Lamb and beef are my favorite. I've got lots of good cuts. I've got I've got a couple of chuck roasts in there. I've got lamb. I've got just a lot of really good things that I don't even have to go shopping. I can just get through November. And then do a little bit of fasting, a weekly 36-hour fast. I was going to do a 36-hour fast starting last night after dinner, but just on second thought, with my grandkids were still here today. I just knew it would be too difficult. We're going out tonight after this live stream. We're going out for kind of a final family dinner, and so it's just easier for me to, rather than worry about fasting, it's easier for me to just start Sardine challenge tomorrow. And maybe next weekend I'll do 36-hour fast. I like 36-hour fasts because I can sleep through most of it. So if I start my fast dinner time, say I start at Saturday, I have a dinner on Saturday, nice good fatty meat, and then I use my app to start the clock with my fasting, go to sleep that night. By the time I get up the next day, I've already burned up 14, hours, and I don't eat that day, and then I go to sleep again, and in the morning, sometime the 36 hours is up. So you're only missing one day. You're only missing one day of food. You're sleeping on the beginning of the fast, and you're sleeping the last part of the fast with one day in between. To me, that's really easy to do. I have no problem doing that, and you're getting some really good benefits. And the one that I look for the most, because it's the one that I need the most, is the gut healing. And at hour 24 is when you're that's the part of a extended fast that where your gut is healing. There's things going on. You're getting new stem cells in there. I had made up a little chart, and I don't have it in front of me, of all the things that happen at this hour and this hour and that hour. I just love doing it. It's the one I would say. There's been a few things I've done that have been a factor in healing my gut, because that's probably been the biggest healing I've had to focus on. Besides weight loss, I mean, that of course is why I came in the first place. But I didn't know I had all these other things I needed to heal as well. The gut issues kind of stayed with me for a long time, and I would say the fasting moved the needle the most, and it was the one I've only, started doing within the last year because I was afraid to do it. And so we did do a good live stream where we talked about, hour by hour, what goes on in your body when you do an extended fast. That was a few months ago. I would watch that one as well if you can find that one, because it really gives you good information about what's happening, and that really moved the needle for me. Other things moved the needle as well, but this one seemed to be the one that was like, oh, okay, all right, just gonna do this more often. And so a weekly 36-hour fast is not missing too much. Everything is fairly easy to do. So just gonna have a sip of my hot tea here. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to get over to the questions now, because I see that we're starting to get some, and I want to see what is on your minds here. What have we got going on? Mary, does Carnivore Bar have a Christmas bar? I have not heard that they're going to bring out anything special for Christmas, but the apple pie bar has those seasonal type fall flavors. It's got the nutmeg, cinnamon, that kind of thing. And so I made these cake pops using this. I'm also going to be making a cheesecake using this as the crust. So watch for that coming up. It'll be a seasonal cheesecake, that you could use for Christmas. Very minimal ingredients as always, and because I like to keep the ingredients quite minimal. I wouldn't call it carnivore because obviously in the apple pie bar itself, there's some shredded apple. That's what gives it its apple flavor. This is definitely something I would feel good about any of my kids, grandkids, relatives eating. You don't have like just to have a whole single ingredient like recognizable ingredients in the bar is what we're looking for, because there are things out there, of course, where we don't know what we're eating. The names are unpronounceable, and that's what you want to watch out for. So I do like that. So that would be seasonal, but not necessarily Christmas. Hope that answers your question, Mary. Um, V Rose, how do you come to the decision that you need to eat high fat or higher protein? I guess that's an individual thing. I mean, I've been listening to, I took the Dr. Boz course in September, and she is very, adamant that people need to be fat forward in order to heal their insulin resistance. So, if you're young and fit and you have some fat on your body, you try higher protein, lower fat. It could work for you. Anybody who has a history of insulin resistance, years of obesity, that kind of thing, doing everything right, that experience that I'm doing everything right, not losing weight. I'm eating 1,000 calories a day, not losing weight, things like that. Those are the clues that you are insulin resistant. Those are the clues that tell me that I need to focus on the fat. So that's basically what I do. I believe in it, and the doctors out there that are carnivore doctors, they back up that belief. Dr. Boz, Dr. Bickman, Dr. Fung, though there's more, but those three in particular, they back up my thoughts on the fact that I need to be fat adapted in order to make that metabolic feeding ground for my fat. That's why I check my ketones every morning. That's why I check my blood glucose every morning. The ketones protect our muscle. When we have high ketones, that is muscle protective. When we do a fast, we're not going to we're not going to lose our muscle if we're making those good ketones. Now, if someone is metabolically sick and they come to this way of eating and they start out fasting right out of the gate, that's not a good thing. You need to be fat adapted before you start fasting. So that's just a warning to new people who think, "Oh, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to start fasting right away." Don't do it. You need your body to be making ketones before you start fasting. And that is a distinction, a little nuance that I learned from Dr. Boz's course that I hadn't quite clicked in me before. That I thought anybody could come along and do fasting, but she's like, no, you need to be making ketones before you attempt to do a fast. That's why she has that book called Keto Continuum. I highly recommend it. Takes you through step by step how to do this lifestyle. And so check that out and compare yourself and your situation against the things she's talking about in there, and then you will know whether you're a candidate for that or not. Hey, Jason. No, Brian. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it was Jason. I'm sorry. Brian, thank you for your generous gift of a Ketogenic Woman membership. Glad you're here. And let's see who was. Oh, Princess Buttercup. Love it. Okay, so Princess Buttercup, hope to meet you at a Zoom meeting, but if not, that's fine. You can watch the replays. We talk about some juicy stuff in those Zooms, so do check it out. Just go to the membership tab on my channel, and you can watch all the replays down there, or attend an upcoming one. Okay. M21467. I hear that YouTube is now using handles. So, some of you are going to show up here without names, which is fine. Some people do that anyways, but just so if anyone's wondering what's going on with their name, this is something new that YouTube is doing right now. How many cans of sardines do you average each day of the 3-day sardine challenge? Well, it's interesting. The first time I did it, I was averaging 5 or 6 cans a day. I know some people who go even more than that. But the last time I did it, I was doing 3 cans a day, and there wasn't anything intentional about that. I had super busy days, and these cans of sardines, I've gotten to the point where I eat a can of sardines and that just fills me up. Now, I will say that Dr. Boz, this is one of the other things that I just learned in her course in September, is that she likes you to have 3 cans if you can. Try to have 3 cans a day. And I think it was, just so you get kind of a basic, basic amount of nutrition there, with protein and fat. So try to have 3 cans a day. And if you buy the water packed, because some people do get the water packed, adds your own fat to it. Add 2 tablespoons of fat per can, just to make sure that you're getting that good ratio that works really well for the sardine challenge. Okay, Gadget Lily. Do you try to get enough protein, and what calculation method do you use to figure out the correct amount of protein for your body? We are about the same age. Concerned about muscle loss. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, I used to be concerned about muscle loss too. Everybody out there that you ask will give you a different answer to this, and they're all right in their ways. I mean, they're all appropriate answers, but for different people. So nobody can look at you or look at me and say, you need to have this many grams of protein in a day. That is different for everybody. So I make sure I get adequate protein, and I eat 2 meals a day. And the advice that I hear out there is each time you eat a meal, to get 30 to 40 grams of protein in a meal. And that's what I do. So I'm getting 30 to 40 grams of protein times 2. That's what I'm doing now. What I used to do was I was pushing to get 150 grams of protein a day, which isn't, I can easily. So I had trouble doing that when I first started trying to do 150 grams a day. And then I got used to doing that. And then I was always eating that amount of protein. The problem is that I'm insulin resistant. I'm one of those. I'm one of you many out there that are. I don't have type 2 diabetes because, I've been eating this way for a long time. That doesn't change I have found out that doesn't change my basic metabolism. And so that's what I'm working on now is to make some changes there. Because what was happening is in the morning when I would check, if I had a late dinner, if I had a dinner with a lot of protein, I was having 3-digit blood glucose, and we want it to be 99 or less. We don't want it to be over 100. This morning I had over 100. But I had a big steak at about 8:00 at night last night. So that's what happens to me when I do that. That's when I have that big amount of protein late in the day. My morning blood glucose is not happy, and I had 0 ketones this morning. So I knew that was going to happen. Because now I know the pattern. Now I've recognized I need to eat earlier in the day. I need to make my protein adequate, but not too much. No big, meals in the day. But this was a special dinner, so that happened. And I was ready. I was ready for those numbers this morning, and they did not disappoint me. I knew what was coming. So that's like everyone is different. You may be one of those people that can handle. Some people say you should have 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight or your ideal body weight. And some people say it is 0.6 or 0.8. I'm just kind of loosely going 2 meals a day, 30 to 40 grams, and I don't want to go any higher than that. And I feel safe in the knowledge that the high ketones that produces, because I don't eat carbs and I'm eating enough fat, the high ketones that were coming are protecting my muscle from wasting away. Because like think about that. If we could increase our muscle just by eating more protein, I should have looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger with all that protein I was eating, but I didn't. The way to build muscle is to do resistance training. um, we just want to keep the muscle that we have through our diet, and not have protein. Like we want to make sure that when on days that we're eating, that we are having that adequate protein. And so that amount is adequate for me. Okay. I find Patty. Hi, Patty. I find my I guess this is blood and ketone numbers are best for me when my fat to protein ratio is about 2 to 1, and when I'm finished eating by 6 p.m. Yeah. So, and 2 to 1 is great. I think that's about 80% fat, if I'm not mistaken. Some people do 1 to 1. I think if you're someone out there who just doesn't know where to start, at least start with 1 to 1. Like because there is a lot of confusion. There's a contingent out there who are, encouraging people to be low fat. Well, I did that. Most of my life. I was eating low fat, high protein. That never worked for me. I'm not going back there. Like, I'm just not going back there. I thought that, I don't want to start on a soapbox or anything. I just thought we had learned our lesson. I thought that, we were reading those books like, Nina Teicholz, The Big Fat Surprise, and Dr. Bickman, Why We Get Sick, and, so many more books. Dr. Boz's books all talk about that we need to have that fat. So if you're confused about it, just at least start with 1 to 1. If you, for example, if you're going to have 100 grams, I'm just using this number just to make it easy, just to round numbers. If you're going to have 100 grams of protein in the day, also have 100 grams of fat. Just start with a 1 to 1 ratio. See how you do 30 days and tweak from there. You might need to go higher. You might need to reduce that down. But we don't know until you try. You definitely want to get fat adapted before you try any tweaking of like fasting and other things like that. So that's great, Patricia. And finishing early. I mean, I'm trying to finish these days now much earlier than that. But that's that's just me, and it should be at least 3 hours before you go to bed. So if you're going to bed at 9, then finishing by 6 is appropriate. And even better is 5 hours. I think I heard Ben Azadi say that, or it might not have been him, it might have been somebody else. Somebody said that on one of their videos, like if you can get 5 hours before it might have been Dr. Boz actually, 5 hours before bedtime, your last meal, that is a good thing. So I'm striving for that 5 hour, eat my dinner 5 hours later, I'm in bed. So for me, that means I've got to be looking at 3 or 4 o'clock, because I go to bed fairly early and get up fairly early. I don't know if you guys can hear one of my dogs barking there. I hope it's okay. She has dementia, my dog. She just panics and thinks she's by herself. Okay, Karen, what were you calculating? I know how to calculate DBR, but what were you doing 10 minutes into program? Oh, when I picked up my calculator, I think is what you're talking about. I was calculating the Canadian equivalent. So for example, it's just a different, for blood glucose, it's just a different measurement that people in the US use versus Canadians and Australians. So my most, like when I take my measurements on my Keto Mojo or my Foric Hair, it gives me a number like 4.5. So 4.5, I have to multiply that by 18. and that gives me blood glucose of 81. So there's, I just do that calculation because I know I'm talking to Canadians as well as Americans here, so that everybody knows what we're talking about on the blood glucose number. That's what I was doing. I know, yeah, Dr. Baugh's ratio is what I use in the morning to determine, where I stand, and that is a good ratio to use. And GKI is a good one as well. Christy, has anyone or you, Anita, been low on vitamin C when you test for your labs each year? Mine was because I don't eat fruits and vegetables. Well, I had labs done, like full labs done, and I was not low on vitamin C, and I eat no fruits and vegetables. You should, we do get vitamin C from meat, believe it or not. And like for carnivores, they get their vitamin C from meat. Now, I guess you need to think about what low is. So that number might be low when you are comparing to standard American diet people. So if you've got 100 people all taking blood work, and 90 of them are on standard American diet and 10 of them are carnivores are going to look like they're low, but they don't need to be as high as the ones who are eating all the extra crap and stuff like that. So it's kind of a different, you got to think about that as well. I certainly have no signs of scurvy after eating, really just meat for 4 years. No signs of scurvy. My gums are good. I get regular dental, checkups and hygiene appointments, and there's nothing going on. I don't have the telltale bleeding gums and other weird things like that. What I was low on, there was 2 things I was low on at my last blood test, and that was vitamin D. And I'm taking drops for that. I do live in the Pacific Northwest. That's probably a factor. And B12. So I am taking some sublingual B12 to help with that. Now B12 kind of surprised me because, I do eat a lot of meat, and meat is high in the B vitamins, but maybe it's an absorption problem. I'm not really sure, but I am taking the supplement. And I definitely was fine on all my other markers. They were all optimal. So, I don't know what to say about that, but I'm not worried about being low on vitamin C. Teresa, do you eat anything with the sardines? Typically just mustard. I do like to put a little yellow mustard on my sardines. I don't know why I like that so much. It helps me. Now, I did buy some what I call fancy sardines during my last one, and I actually tried them without mustard, and they were fine. So I think it depends on the brand. That's the other thing I want to say is all the brands are different. They all taste different. So if you have tried sardines only once in your life and you've written them off, just maybe try a different brand and see how that goes for you, because they really do all have kind of different tastes, textures, flavors, and just give it another try. Like try 10 different kinds before you decide you're never eating another sardine again. That's what I would recommend. The other thing is for people to slowly introduce themselves to sardines by trying a few different recipes. Maybe make, how people make tuna salad. Maybe make a salad with a can of tuna, a can of sardines. Start there. Get used to the taste, get used to the texture of sardines, and then build on that. I have a couple of good videos out there where I show people how to introduce sardines into their lives so that they get used to it. And there is some of that in the book as well, where you can figure out what a few recipes to eat, like sardine pate and different things like that, sardine balls in the air fryer. We have sardine pizza. So there are things that you can do to get used to the taste. Anne, when should I test using my Keto Mojo besides the morning? What values for glucose should I always see? Under 100? Or I thought Dr. Boz says to be in the 80s. Is lower better? Well, lower is better to a point, of course. Morning blood glucose should be under 100. But sometimes, of course, as soon as you eat, it's going to go up. I mean, that's a natural thing, and that's not nothing to worry about as long as it comes back down quickly. We don't want it going up over 140, So, just keep it like if you're new maybe you're type 2 diabetic and you're new to testing and you just want to find out things, you can test more. You can test during the day. I don't bother testing during the day anymore. I only test in the morning because I know, if I eat a meal, it's going to go up. It's going to go up 10, maybe even 20 points, but within an hour, it's going to be right down back at baseline. And I have tested to see that happens. So I don't feel like I need to test any further. The test strips are expensive, so you want to economize on those. But if you're trying to figure out something, like say you're wondering, well, I wonder if that food spikes my blood glucose. Of course, test before you eat, have the food, test maybe 30 minutes later and an hour later and see where you're at. Because that's sometimes the only way you can figure out, how does a food really affect you. And a CGM does that very well as well. That's a good reason for even just getting a CGM for 2 weeks so that you can, get all the foods together that you are, kind of secretly wondering about and test them all with your CGM. It's well worth it to do that because then what frustrates me sometimes is I'll see on Facebook, somebody will say, when I eat such and such, does that spike my blood glucose? And there'll be people who say, no, it doesn't. Well, how do they know? The only way you can know is if you test yours. They have no way of knowing. And then and then the person goes, oh, okay, good. I was wondering. Well, I'm still wondering if it affects you or not, because you don't know unless you test. So, that would be one good use for, getting a CGM for 2 weeks, test all the foods you're wondering about, see how quickly it comes down, see what your baseline is, see what your morning, as soon as you wake up, what is that number? And those are all really important clues to your metabolic health. So, yeah. So 4 in the 80s is good, but if it's in the first thing in the morning, if it's under 100, that is good. Ideally, and where I was when I was doing really well is I was waking up in the 60s. That means that your liver has emptied itself of all the glycogen, and so that is ideal for me. So it's good to find out what's good for you. Okay. Teddy is thanking everyone for being here with us today. Yeah, I know. Well, that's actually, the dogs are a little bit, they're a little bit on edge today. Transforming progress. Has anyone else experienced body dysmorphia after reaching goal weight or over 100 pounds? Yes. It's a stranger in the mirror now. I feel like I'm living in a rental body. I can't tell you how many times, and it has gotten better, but say over the last 3-4 years, how many times I've caught myself, like, you're in a store or something and you catch yourself in a mirror and I do a double take because I don't recognize the person. I'm expecting to see the other me. And it is startling. It is startling. It gets better over time. You'll get used to it. So I mean, it's just one of those things. But I would think that is really common, and I can 100% relate, 100%. But good for you for having that. It's a good problem to have, and you will get past it. You will get used to it. Crafty Mom, Val, any tips for major edema after a 2-day conference? I know I have this issue. I drank bottles and bottles of water, but have struggled the entire conference. 24 hours later, still have issues. Yeah, that's a common thing. So I don't know. Do you wear compression socks? Like whenever I get on a plane, whenever I have to go somewhere where I know I'm going to be sitting all day, I have compression stockings, like they go up to my knee, and they are made by Sockwell. And I like the medium compression ones. They help enormously. They do, because like I don't have any diagnosed edema or anything like that, but I do know that if I'm sitting all day and it's hot, and different things like that, I can definitely see a difference, in my ankles at the end of the day. But when I wear those compression stockings, I don't. Now, some people have, more serious cases of this, and so that would be a conversation to have with your doctor about, whether you need to do something else. But start if you're not wearing compression stockings when you go to something like that or get on an airplane, you know, do that. That is, I mean, that's usually the first thing the doctor will tell you as well. So I hope that helps. Hey, there's Jason. Hi, Jason. He has also gifted a Ketogenic Woman membership. And we are talking about Kenneth Zito. Congratulations. And hope to see you in the membership area there. Let's see here. Liza, do you take any other supplements? At the moment, all I am taking is the vitamin D, the B12, and I'm taking, is it called boron? I'm taking boron as an experiment because one of the people in my membership mentioned that I think it might have been her mother or some. It's good for people with joint issues, joint pain, and people like I have arthritis in my left knee, and apparently there's some studies out there that show that countries that have low boron levels in their soil have more surgeries for limb replacement than countries that have boron rich soil. And so it was put to me to try. I think half a milligram or something of boron. Like, might be a gram. I don't know. I have to look at the bottle, but I take one a day. And I'm just going to go through the bottle and see if there's any difference at the end of the 3 months. I have a 3-month supply. That's the only one, and it's just kind of an experiment. I do take. I've got like boxes and boxes of Element in my cupboard, so sometimes I'll drink an Element. And I also make sure I have a lot of salt. I wouldn't really call it a supplement, but in a way it is. Like, just make sure you're getting a good amount of sodium, because those of us who don't eat carbs and processed foods, we tend to be short on sodium, and so have your electrolytes. I don't actually take magnesium supplements other than what's in the Element. So that's something to look at as well. I feel pretty good otherwise, so I don't really feel a need to try to take any other supplements. But I'm always kind of listening for any news or studies or anything that might say that there's a certain supplement. But I do think that people tend to take them with just based on what other people on social media are saying. And it's a really good idea to test, test, don't guess, as they say. Do you really need that supplement? I mean, I wasn't taking vitamin D because I thought I'm getting outside twice a day. I should be getting enough, but I wasn't. And the test proved that I wasn't. And so that's why I'm taking the vitamin D supplement. So it is a good idea to actually know that you're deficient before you take a supplement. That's just my opinion. People are going to do what people do, but that's my advice. So I'm going to give a final reminder for the giveaway that we have, because we are, I just noticed we're coming up to, well, it was only 10 minutes left. So if you want to, these are the two books. One is the Sardine book and one is the Keto Egg Fast. They are both good ways to do a metabolic reset, get yourself back into ketosis. And the winner tonight will get to choose which one they want me to send them. It'll come from Amazon. I still am at the point where I'm not allowed to ship over the border unless I apply. And I haven't applied yet because I've had a busy couple months. And so I will at some point be able to ship over the border again, but I just can't do it yet unless they reject my application. That could happen too, and I might never be able to ship things over the border again. We'll see, but I will try at some point. So I'm just going to. I hope you guys are applying for or entering Handbook in there. I'm just going to see what's going on here. Crafty Mom also, that disappeared. Also was diagnosed with not having enough. Val. So she was diagnosed short on vitamin D as well. Now you're in BC too, I think, if I remember correctly. So probably the same problem I have. But we're just not getting enough sunshine. Got to try and get a little bit more. Let's see here. Who else has got some things to say about that? Okay, so Christina loves cats. Being low on B12 can come from use of PPI. I was on them 20 years and stopped last year because of the health repercussions. I was on a PPI for 15 years and I stopped I weaned myself off about 3 years ago, I want to say. I did not know that, and thank you for saying that, because that actually makes sense. And PPIs can really, so that would be things like Nexium, those sorts of, the protein pump inhibitors that people are prescribed for acid reflux, and that's what I was prescribed. What I didn't know at the time was that a change in diet could have had the same results. It could have stopped my acid reflux. I am super sensitive to nightshade vegetables. Well, I had no idea. If I had known that, I would have just stopped the nightshade vegetables. And eating late in the day is another thing that can trigger acid reflux. There's so many things you can do before you take that PPI that could resolve your acid reflux. So it can, once you, if you have taken a PPI or are on a PPI and want to stop, work with your doctor on it, because you can't just stop cold turkey. You can, but it'll be painful. As I found out, you got to titrate down. And then I still had to actively work on it. I still take apple cider vinegar. I have apple cider vinegar in this hot water, and this is what I'm sipping on now. Tastes like a warm tea. But it actually helps, to soothe symptoms and prevent symptoms from coming up. And even though I've been working on this for 3 years, I still actively work on it, because it's a hard one to get rid of. The PPIs did a number on me, and so I have low stomach acid as another result of that. But what I have found is that, we talked about this right at the beginning of this show, that the 36-hour fasts are helping more than anything else has helped. And, so I'm doing like a multifaceted attack on this problem. Apple cider vinegar, not eating 3 to 5 hours before bed, I eat almost zero vegetables. Every once in a while, like last night at the restaurant, I did have some vegetables, but pretty much most days are zero vegetables. I would not touch a nightshade. That actually is a trigger for me. Also triggers, I have rosacea, for those that don't know. So those sorts of things also trigger that. Stress triggers that as well. So these are all things that we need to, some of us need to think about every day. I know I do. But yeah, thank you, Christina, for mentioning that, because that's actually really helpful to me to know that. um, Allulose does not stop ketones. For like, I don't see why it would. It might affect someone's blood glucose, so test it if you're unsure. But I don't see it stopping ketones. Okay, we're gonna have the draw because we're almost at the top of the hour. So let's do that. Let's hold the draw for the book. Handbook, last chance. Get it in there before we trigger the draw. Who's gonna win? Okay, I got the names are flashing on here. Let's see. Christina Shaw 3972. Okay. So Christina, what I need you to do is to send me an email, ketogenicwoman@gmail.com. Send me your full contact details, and I will go into Amazon and ship you your book of choice. So also, while you're sending me your full contact details, tell me which book you would like to have, and it will be sent out to you. So congratulations, Christina Shaw 3972. All right. Let me just take a look here, see if we can get one last final question in before we stop for the night. Let's see here. Okay. All right, got a few people who have had edema issues, so hopefully some of what we talked about tonight is helpful. Some people are sensitive. Hi, Darvit, nice to see you here. Some people are sensitive to the weather changes. I mean, I know a lot of people that are sensitive to the weather changes. They can feel it in their legs. They can feel it in their sinuses, things like that. I saw somebody ask about the boron. It is spelled Boron. So there you go. And hey, Joanne is here, and she is on an exercise snack walk. So exercise snacks are those short little 10-minute things we do. Walk 10 minutes after every meal. That's going to help get your blood glucose down. Do another snack would be get up from your desk, do 10 squats or 10 wall push-ups. Those are exercise snacks. So I think we're at the end here, and I really appreciate you guys spending your Sunday night with me. This is amazing to have you. It's amazing to see all you guys each and every week. I am going to be here next week, and appreciate everything. I really love you guys, and thank you so much for coming. Good night, everybody.